Welcome to the fields at Southern Virginia University for today's field hockey contest featuring the Roanoke College Maroons and your Southern Virginia University Knights. President Wilcox and the Southern Virginia University staff thank you for your support of the student athletes and coaches participating in today's contest. In the spirit of good sportsmanship, we ask you to respect the following Southern Virginia University athletic rules. Cheer loudly and proudly for your team, not against the opposition. Profanity, vulgarity, racial or sexist remarks will not be tolerated. No personal remarks towards players, coaches, or officials. Stay away from the playing area and team bench areas. Also, please be reminded that Southern Virginia University has zero tolerance for alcohol and tobacco use at all contests. Failure to adhere to these policies may result in immediate dismissal. Thank you for your cooperation, and go Knights! In accordance with tradition at Southern Virginia University, we will begin with a word of prayer, which will be offered by Rachel M.L.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this most beautiful day that we have come together to play hockey. Heavenly Father, please bless these players that no harm will come to them throughout the game. Heavenly Father, please bless that we'll have a safe trip home. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Now, if you will all please rise and face the flag for the playing of our nation's national anthem.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to tonight's NCAA Division III Women's Field Hockey Contest between the Maroons of Roanoke College and your Southern Virginia University Knights. I'm Dawson Weidrich, and I'm joined by Miriam Bonney, and we're coming to you live from Knights Stadium on the Knights Broadcasting YouTube channel. Miriam, it's exciting to be here tonight for tonight's contest.
Yes, it is. It looks like we've got some really clear skies tonight, and it's just nice weather, not rainy like our last field hockey game, which got a little bit slippery.
Yeah, it should be very, very fun. Again, these Blue Ridge Mountains, you get a beautiful view up here. Again, like you said, beautiful weather. Should be a very interesting contest here, again, between the Maroons and the Knights. One thing we definitely want to mention is that these teams faced off last year at Roanoke College, and that contest was a very lopsided one in favor of the Maroons of Roanoke College by a score of 10-1. The Knights looking to maybe kind of get a little bit of revenge in some sort of way against the Maroons. As we have the starting lineups being announced for both teams. And one thing, Marion, that we talked about right before we went live here is that there is obviously, as you can see on your screen, a big difference in the size of rosters for both Roanoke College and Southern Virginia University. That should be a big factor in today's game in terms of conditioning and fatigue.
Definitely. And one thing also is that the Southern Virginia University team doesn't have any seniors, as opposed to a handful of seniors on the Maroons team. So we have a little bit of difference in experience. So we'll see. It will be an interesting game.
And I think the fact that the Knights have no seniors on the roster is kind of just a culmination of just everything about this Knights program is that, again, it's a very young program for those who don't know and are tuning in for the first time. This program was only established just a couple of years ago, and since then it's been trying to build itself up, get better recruiting, and make sure that you can get as many people on this team as possible. Obviously still in the younger years, but again, with the help of head coach Camille Lamb, you know, you can expect to see a bright future for this program.
Yeah, and her the way that she helps the teams practice, it's very much team-oriented, working with them through drills and their poles and their circles and working on corners and getting their goalkeeper ball, all of that together. I think she does a really good job managing the team, especially because they have so many new people with the new team just getting started.
Absolutely. We should get started with the action here in just a few short moments. And so far in Southern Virginia's season, they have played 4 games so far. Their first one was back on September 1st against Ferrum College, where they lost that one to a close score of 1-2. And the next one was September 3rd on a Saturday, where they lost in overtime by the same score of 1-2 to Sunny Mooresville. Then Transylvania University, they lost 2-6. And then against Randolph-Macon College, they lost 0-9. And tonight again against Roanoke College, looking to maybe get some improvement there. Again, when you start off a season with a losing record, obviously morale's kind of down, and you're trying to build yourself up and just work on the little things to get your game better. And then you look on the side of Roanoke College. Roanoke College so far starting off with a record of 1-2. It hasn't been smooth sailing for them so far, but judging by the fact that last year they ended with an 11-8 record, 5-3 in conference play, you could expect big things from this team. Like you said, they have a handful of seniors, and they're able to have that experience and that leadership. And having a winning season last year, carrying that mentality into this season should be pretty seamless.
For sure, and the great thing is that the field hockey team had a great win at the end of last season that we saw in spring, actually here on home turf at Southern Virginia.
Which is absolutely fantastic. Again, like we talked about this being a young program, every single win is a magnificent triumph, trying to, again, build that program, get some confidence in your younger players. And when this program started, there was many players who hadn't even played field hockey before, and so it was a really interesting transition to try to train these players, help them understand the game, as Southern Virginia looks to start off with the ball first. Just waiting for the opening whistle here. And we are off. Southern Virginia with it, trying to work their way down the far side. And now Roanoke College with it. And one thing, Marion, that we talked about before this game is that Southern Virginia, compared to opponents last year, had significantly less shots on goal, but still were able to shoot at a very similar percentage to other teams. And so I guess for your Marion, what's some things that Southern Virginia can do tonight to maybe try to get more shots on goal than they have in the past? What are some things they can try to do offensively?
One thing is field hockey has 3 forwards, and really getting those forwards out there and shooting so that they can shoot to another one of their forwards, working together to get those shots connected and moving up towards the goal.
Now working the near side. That was number 13, Lindsay Keys, with it. Now with it is number 7, Martha Hurley, the senior on the squad, one of the few seniors in the squad. Looks like it'll stay with Roanoke College. Trying to go a little fancy there and go between the legs. But now it'll go back to Southern Virginia. As Hurley with it now, trying to get to the side of the net. Of course, that is kicked out of the way by Southern Virginia's number 22. They, in fact, do not have a number 22 listed on the roster that we do have. That is actually, in fact, Kira White at the goal. We found the roster. We're able to get the right name for you, fellas. Chasing after for Southern Virginia, that is number 8, Ashley Torgeson, the freshman from Herndon, Virginia. that'll go back to Southern Virginia. And so far, Miriam, Roanoke College has been able to maintain possession for a lot so far. One of the things I always express in these broadcasts is that defense is by far the hardest part of any sport that you can play, especially on a field or a court. And so like we talked about with fatigue with the small roster, I mean, how long can you expect Southern Virginia to hold up defensively with Roanoke College attacking consistently like this?
Right, because one thing about teams is that when you have a team that has a lot of defense they have to do, they say the whole team becomes defense. And so they're all working together to try to keep that ball away. But that involves every player needs to stay attentive. Every player needs to stay aware, ready to get the ball and be there for their teammate.
There's a shot on goal that was blocked by Kira White. Kira White, one of the original members of the first Southern Virginia Knights women's field hockey team. And that'll be a goal for the Maroons, the first one of the night.
About 5 minutes into our first quarter.
And so again, Southern Virginia forced to play defense for quite a long time. I mean, you may think it's only just a couple of minutes, but a couple of minutes or even 30 seconds in any game like this playing defense is an absolutely exhausting venture. So now Southern Virginia breaking across midfield. And it goes back to Roanoke College. They're trying to backtrack, and that is going to go out of bounds.
And especially in a sport like field hockey, you're not only running, but you have to run down. And so, because you have to keep that stick below the waistline, unless you're far, far away from all the other players. So it's even harder to keep running and keeping down that whole time because you're basically in a squat the whole time.
Got to have a strong back for that, which me standing at 6'5", I definitely could not do that for an entire game. So, like you said, a lot of credit to that.
Yeah, they don't alter the sticks based on your height.
We're seeing some really good passing here from Roanoke College. That shot on goal was attempted by number 18, Grace Vernarelli. Want to make sure we get that correctly. That is a sophomore. Trying to work behind the net.
Interception by number 8, Torgerson from the Knights.
Torgerson's getting involved early and often so far for Southern Virginia. You love to see it. So it'll go back to Southern Virginia. And so far, not only is Roanoke College able to just do some great passing when they have the ball, they're also able to really crowd defensively, really get in the faces of Southern Virginia's offensive players.
Yeah, just keeping up that keeping up the pace, both on the offense and on the defense. The moment it's on their side, they're pushing it back to the other side.
So it goes back to Roanoke College. And while we're in the action, I want to remind you that if you're watching this, of course, you're watching this on the Knights Broadcasting Network, and we appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notified every single time we have an athletic event here on this channel. We cover all things Southern Virginia athletics. We are proud to do it. We have a great team behind it, and we'd sure love it if you join us for these contests because it's always a fun time. Great to support these young athletes. Roanoke College on the offensive now. And that's going to go in for another goal for the Maroons. Go for that one is number 7, Martha Hurley, one of the seniors of the squad, making it 2-0 with just under 8 minutes left to play in this first quarter. And Miriam, you can speak to this. How difficult is it when you're cramped near the net like that to get accurate passes and be able to get a shot like that? I mean, that's arguably one of the hardest things about the sport in those cramped spaces.
Right, and one thing is that you're always looking down at the ball because you have to hit it with your stick, and the stick isn't that big, and you can only hit it with one side. So it's really hard to tell, okay, who's my teammate, who's not, because the sticks themselves don't match. And then making sure you don't hit it in the wrong direction, and then it gets passed in. And also when you're in those really close defensive things next to your own goal, it's so easy to mess up something and get called a corner, which is an incredible disadvantage for your own team.
And Roanoke College gets it right back. And that is tipped away, looked up by number 12. That is Elizabeth Sordo, the senior from Bealton, Virginia. Goes right back to Roanoke College. Impressive downfield passing. Again, the Maroons not losing stride as they're on the attack here. And that one saved by White. Another shot, looks like the stick hit the ground before the ball. And you mentioned the sticks in field hockey. I don't know how many people know this out there that haven't played field hockey. I mean, you see these athletes walk around campus before practice. They have their sticks with them. Like you said, it's a pretty small surface you have to hit that ball with. So, again, like you said, it takes a lot of concentration, a lot of hand-eye coordination. So just the fact that they can hit it in general is impressive to me, to say the least.
Definitely. You've got all these different pulls. You can pull it, you can push it, you can bring it in a circle. And some teammates are especially good at hitting it to pop it, which means it goes up above another opponent's stick to pass it to a teammate.
Good stop here from Southern Virginia. That's number 14, Sydney White. So far we're seeing a very similar pattern to the last two times Southern Virginia and Roanoke College played. Roanoke College getting a lot of offensive momentum, able to do some great passing. Southern Virginia with limited opportunities to shoot. We haven't seen a shot on goal from Southern Virginia yet because, again, maintaining that offensive possession has been difficult for them. Handling it now is number 15, Madison Filson. And that is going to bounce off of one of the Southern Virginia players. I believe that bounced off of number 7, Avery Anderson. We'll go back to Southern Virginia. You're seeing Southern Virginia do a better job at crowding the ball there near the goal, making sure that they just make sure there's no open lanes to pass through, making it very chaotic for Roanoke College. Now working the far side.
It looks like the Knights are setting up for a corner on the night goal.
And like you mentioned, Miriam, Southern Virginia able to get one of their few wins in this program's very short history last year against Meredith, the second to last game of the season. Kind of tell me, what did that mean for this team? What did it mean for this program to get that win last year?
Last year was a really hard year for the team because they just began with some new people, and like COVID was just ending, so finally people were coming out and being more interested in sports. And with the team worked hard all year and didn't get that win until spring. So it's so exciting to see all their hard work throughout the year with new players and experienced players alike to come in and get that win on home turf.
And we mentioned head coach Camille Lamb of Southern Virginia earlier on in the broadcast. What do you think that meant to her as a coach specifically? I mean, she's been with this program since its inception. You know, she's been trying to build up this team, coach up these young players, doing the best that she can with the limitations she's had, again, being a fresh program. What do you think this meant to her as a coach?
One thing about Coach Lamb is she has always believed in her field hockey players. And she loves the sport of field hockey. She was one of the main drivers for its creation here at Southern Virginia University. She helped lead its club back when it wasn't a sport yet. And then when it did become a sport, becoming its coach. A huge time commitment for it. And then having a baby in March has been a lot of work for her. And I'm sure it just knocked her socks off to see them win and to see all that hard work pay off from her girls and from herself, just working on here. Her husband is also a coach here at Southern Virginia University for men's lacrosse. So that must have been super exciting for her to see her own team get that win and to just see the future for field hockey at Southern Virginia be so bright.
Yeah, because every single program, sports program that's ever been created anywhere needed that first win, right? It needed that first win to propel itself, get itself moving forward, get people more interested in it. And like you said, just a lot of effort paying off in that one win last year and trying to get one, maybe a couple more wins here and there. Again, try to improve every little place that you can.
Right, because getting started with the team, it can be so discouraging. And so you really have to have that one person who really believes in the team, who keeps them believing that they can go and they can win. And then when they do, the fact that you were there for them, you stayed with them, and knowing that they're going to keep on succeeding in the future.
Looks like the ball will go back to Roanoke College.
Setting up for our second corner on the night goal.
So just under 2 minutes left to play in this first quarter. If you're just tuning in, the score now stands 2-0 in favor of the Maroons of Roanoke College. Here's the corner opportunity. Good block. That looks like it was blocked by number 12, that being Elizabeth Sorda, the senior from Bealton, Virginia. Now I'll stop the clock once again. Mishandled pass.
And the corner is over.
Handling on the near side now for Roanoke College's number 15, Madison Filson. She, along with number 7, Martha Hurley, have been very much involved in these offensive possessions for Roanoke College early on.
And we are setting up for our third corner on the night goal.
And like you said, third corner in the fact that Roanoke College hasn't scored on either of them so far in the past couple minutes. Very impressive defensive feat right there.
Especially because you have, when in a corner, you only have about 4 of your teammates on the one side of the field, and all the rest have to go to the 50-yard line.
And that shot's going to go a long shot there. That's from number 18, Grace Vernarelli, excuse me. Makes it 3-0 in favor of the Maroons. And here's the replay of that shot from Vernarelli. Again, a very impressive one from about 15 yards out. I mean, that's not an easy task here.
No, it goes straight back into the goal of the Knights.
So now the ball will go back to Southern Virginia. Again, Southern Virginia's got to find a way to keep the ball on the Maroon side of the field for longer periods of time because, again, like we mentioned, we'll continue to mention because it's such an important factor, the defense, it's getting exhausting. So you have to give your defenders a little bit of a break and make sure you can get those shots on goal because, again, you can play tremendous defense all game long. If you don't give yourself opportunities to score, it's very unlikely that you'll get victories. So, again, Southern Virginia's got to be more energetic in keeping that possession.
And if the Knights can just get that ball over near the goal, just get a few shots on goal, their chances are just the same as Roanoke to make one.
Exactly like we talked about earlier. Again, Southern Virginia's shots on goal percentage was very similar to the teams that they played. The only problem is that they had significantly less shots on goal. So percentage can be good all you want it to, but if you don't have as many shots, it's going to make it very difficult. And with that, we have reached the end of this first quarter here at the field with a score of 3-0 in favor of the Maroons. Again, we've seen some of the same that we've seen against Roanoke College so far tonight. What are some things that you think Southern Virginia needs to do in order to whittle into this? And we talked about maintaining possession, right? What's some things they can do to do that?
I think some great ways to maintain possession is getting their organization where they need it to be, getting the teammates where they can get the ball and then pass it on to another teammate, because having just one teammate to pass it to, and if they don't have anyone to pass it to, if 1-2 offenders get near them, then they lose possession again, trying to set themselves up to travel to the left end of the field towards the goal of the Maroons. I think that would be a great way for them to get some shots on goal and hopefully a goal here.
Absolutely. Again, the score stands now 3-0 in favor of the Maroons. And I'll say one more time, you're watching this on the Knights Broadcasting YouTube channel. So if you like what you hear, like what you see, or like both, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell, that way you do not miss out on any single sporting event here on this channel. We bring it to you proudly from students and faculty alike of this great university. And again, who wouldn't want to see a beautiful site like this here in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Southern Virginia? I mean, it doesn't get much better venue than this. I mean, you see the sun setting back there, blue mountains, it's just beautiful. Even if you don't like sports, right, just tune in, watch the view. If you don't have a great view where you live, check this out. It's great. Anyways, I am rambling. So far, again, it's been a difficult night so far for Southern Virginia. Defense, again, you're struggling. You're making sure that you – but, again, given the fact they're down 3-0, there has been many shots on goal that Southern Virginia has prevented. Kieran White's had several blocks on goal. You've been able to make sure that those three corner situations, right, that they didn't get a goal in that. So, again, you got to commend Southern Virginia's defense for the effort, regardless of the fact they're down 3-0. And we're about to get started with the second quarter of this NCAA Division III Women's Field Hockey Contest between the Maroons of Roanoke College and your Southern Virginia University Knights. Knights will start off with the ball, and again, like we've been talking about so far all game long, I'm sure that head coach Camille Lamb of Southern Virginia talked about, hey, we need to have smarter passing, we need to have better offensive execution, maintain that possession, even if we don't get a shot on goal, get opportunities to pass it around and be able to try to work through the offense.
Looks like the Knights are already setting up to move themselves towards the goal of the Maroons. Far pass up the field.
Able to pop that one up like you talked about, a very difficult thing to be able to figure out with these field hockey sticks.
Especially because if one goes too high, you've got dangerous play, which is a penalty call.
This is the deepest in Maroon territory that Southern Virginia has had it all night long. Hopefully they could take advantage of it.
The Knights get a corner on the Maroon goal. See if we can get some shots on goal.
Now, I don't think the head coach, Camille Lamb, has headsets that can hear what we're saying, but basically they're doing exactly what we were talking about, making sure they're more aggressive offensively. Now, like you said, with one of the few opportunities on shot on goal they've had all game long.
And this is the perfect setup for the Knights because they've only got 2 teammates down the field, one of which is their goalkeeper, and they've got everybody else right there to help get that shot and goal.
There's that shot deflected by Roanoke College, but taken back from Southern Virginia. Good effort there from goalkeeper number 24, Abby McCuster for Roanoke College. Handling it now for Southern Virginia is number 17, Karina Olson. Knocked to the ground there, no whistle. And it'll go back to Southern Virginia.
Number 8, Torgerson.
And it goes right back to Roanoke College. So again, you're seeing some improvement there from Southern Virginia, maintaining possession more, again, getting an opportunity to take some shots. You'll love to see it coming out of the break.
And definitely this quarter, it looks like those teammates are trying to get us set up and trying to make a plan to move towards the right side.
And one thing you're seeing that Roanoke College is doing a really great job at is obviously what you call in basketball boxing out. Make sure you put space between the ball and your defender. Make sure that there's no opportunities to get stolen away. And that's, again, one of the many factors that they've been able to, or one of the things they've been able to utilize to maintain possession. Battle for it near the net, taken away by Southern Virginia and taken right back from Roanoke College. Again, it's a battle down there right now.
And right from one corner down at the Maroons, now we've got another corner down here at the Knights. So hopefully we see more of the ball moving on either side of the field.
Just a little bit more back and forth action than we saw in the first quarter, which, again, is improvement. Shot attempt here, and that one is gonna, looks like it may have gone in.
It looks like it went on the left side of the goal.
I believe you are right, Miriam, so it will not be a point for Roanoke College. Knights get away scot-free in that situation. And that one was taken away by number 17, Karina Olson. And one thing that Roanoke College is doing a really great job at is anticipation. They're seeing what the Knights are trying to set up offensively. Again, being on that far side, they know they're going to want to pass it up the field to their teammate on that sideline as well. So they immediately have a defender go right there to intercept it. And that shot is going to go in. That goes in for number 4, Krista Amadna. Krista DeMondo, a sophomore on this team. Here's the replay of that shot. You see it goes in from the right side, right to the back of the net. Fantastic shot in close quarters. So that'll expand the lead of the Maroons to 4-0. And Southern Virginia will, go back to Roanoke College. So after that first offensive possession from Southern Virginia where they were able to get into Roanoke College territory, they've struggled to get it back there ever since.
one interesting thing about the Maroons is that when someone comes to attack, to come try to get the ball, they'll just hold their ground really, really hard, just keeping it in that same little space. Like we saw a lot of action on the far right corner of the field, just staying there, not trying to go anywhere, just holding their ground until they have a free area.
Yes, keeping their composure, waiting for the play to develop, waiting for passing lanes to open up.
Giving their teammates some time to set up.
And that's just a sign of great chemistry between teammates right there. A lot of hours of practicing, a lot of drills, and just understanding that you can trust your teammates to get to the right spots and help you out in a situation where, let's say, like you mentioned, they are crowded by defenders. They can trust their teammates going to find a way to help them out. As taken away by number 5, Ellie Marble, the sophomore from Thomaston, Connecticut. That pass just a little bit too far from Caitlin Beasley, a junior from Rustburg, Virginia.
Taken away by number 3 of the Knights, Caitlin Beasley.
And that was number 14 for Southern Virginia, mishandling that. Sydney White, unable to get in front of it. Kira White doing a great job of standing her ground. She was faced off at one point between her and Grace Vernarelli, who already has a goal tonight. And it was a one-on-one situation, and Kira White was able to hold her ground. Fantastic job. A little bit of miscommunication there between Avery Anderson and I believe number 12, Elizabeth Sordo. Sordo didn't think that she was getting past the ball, and she continued to run upfield. And we got another corner situation here. So, Marion, for those who maybe don't know back home who are watching this, might be kind of explain what teams are trying to do when it comes to these corner situations.
So a corner starts when one of the defensive players commits a foul in the goal area. So what happens is that the offensive team has an advantage by sending up all of their teammates around that goal circle, the first outer rim of the circle, and the other team only has 4 defensive players while the rest of their players go to the 50-yard line. So it's a great setup to try to make a shot on goal before those other teammates can get in and help join the defense.
And like you said, with the team that's trying to defend, having less players that are able to be there, it makes it really difficult. And Southern Virginia able to hold their ground there makes it all the more impressive. Kira White getting a good block there as it was shot by number 18, Grace Vernarelli. And we got another corner right here with 7 minutes left to play in this first half.
So in a corner in the goal, you've got your post, you've got your runner, a sweeper, and another player, and their goal is to get the ball away from the goal, except for the runners, whose job is to just get it on the other side of the field. So everyone is basically helping the goalie out, except for the one person who's just trying to get the ball away.
And Southern Virginia able to hold their ground on that one as well. Great job defensively. That is from number 5, Ellie Marble. Able to get in the way of that inside pass. Now, the story of the first quarter was the fact that Roanoke College was able to maintain possession for a great majority of the time, which made it very easy for them to get those first 3 goals. Now, the story of the second quarter has been they've had these corner starts almost about 5 times now in this second quarter.
And in order for a corner, it means it has to be in possession of the defense.
Looks like we'll have it yet again. Long shot attempt deflected by Kira White.
And this corner is over.
Again, fantastic job there from Kira White. She's been attacked all day long with shots on goal. And again, only giving up 4 goals out of all the shots that have been taken. I mean, that's as much as you can expect from a goalkeeper. I mean,
that's even more impressive when you think of how small the field hockey ball is as compared to the goal. Because there are a lot of areas people could just sneak that ball right into that goal, but Kira's been able to keep a lot of them out.
we got another shot. Kira White blocks 2 in a row. One that was shot from about 10 yards out, then one just 3 yards away from her. Very close shot, and able to keep both of them out. And we got another corner here. A long shot. Kira White gets in front of that one yet again. And we've been talking about how Roanoke College is a very disciplined team, getting very good opportunities with shots on goal, and defensively just making sure that they take the ball away from Southern Virginia as soon as they possibly can. A lot of that discipline comes from the fact they've had a very consistent program for the past 9 years under head coach Brianna Banks, who again is entering her 9th year as head coach for Roanoke College, and has really, in the words of course, her bio here on Maroon's website, has helped spearhead a resurgence of the Maroon program, leading Roanoke College to 4 consecutive winning seasons for the first time since 1995 through 2004. So again, just really engineering a fantastic program here at there at Roanoke College, and again, just instilling that discipline in their players and that competitiveness and that energy that they bring in and day out. So just under 3 minutes left to play in this first half. Again, the score stands 4-0 in favor of the Maroons of Roanoke College.
Only one goal of which has been made in this quarter of the game.
Which, again, judging on the fact that Southern Virginia has been playing defense for most of the game, you'd expect it to be the other way around, where they let up 1 goal in the first quarter, then 3 in the second. But much to surprise, again, showing a lot of resilience, especially in this quarter, and a lot of credit going to Kira White for that. It advanced all the way down the field for the Maroons. Beautiful pass between 2 defenders. And this is a Roanoke College team that is coming off of their first win of the season. They had started off the season 0-2, losing 6-3 to Mary Washington, then by a score of 1-0 to Denison, a very defensive game that one was, and then getting a 1-0 victory over Wittenberg at Wittenberg, so an away game, which is even more impressive. And this is actually the 4th straight away game that Roanoke College has played. They have yet to play a home game this season, which can be very strenuous on you when you're constantly traveling, you haven't played a home game yet, you haven't had that home field advantage. That definitely takes a toll on you as a player.
Just like Southern Virginia's, they're on, their 4th game now, and not until about a week ago did they have their first home game.
So 2 teams in very similar situations, very limited home field opportunities. That was off the left side. Now approaching 1 minute left in this first half. But of course, after this match against Southern Virginia, Roanoke College have 3 consecutive home games. One versus Hood, one versus Meredith, and the other versus Sewanee. We'll make sure I pronounce that right, Sewanee. And for the first time since the beginning of the second quarter, the ball now in Roanoke territory. Roanoke just trying to run out the clock and get into halftime with a safe 4-0 lead. And with the final seconds, we reach the ending of the first half between the Maroons of Roanoke College and your Southern Virginia Knights. Again, the score stands 4-0 in favor of the Maroons. Lots of defensive action on Southern Virginia's side. Great defensive effort from Kira White specifically, and just a lot of shots on goal for the Maroons. But with that, we'll take a short break for halftime. We will be right back with you in just a few moments. And we are back for second half action between the Maroons of Roanoke College and your Southern Virginia Knights here on the Knights Broadcasting YouTube channel. The score currently sits at 4-0 in favor of the Maroons. The Maroons doing a great job of maintaining offensive possession. We've talked about it extensively so far over that first half. Southern Virginia did have a chance at goal early on in that second quarter, but since then, again, I've just been playing a lot of defense. We've been talking about the effort of Kira White as goalkeeper. I mean, she's done a fantastic job so far.
Exactly. She's had 12 saves on goal. And towards the end of that second quarter, we even saw the Southern Virginia Knights move up towards the Maroons' goal.
So trying to make some effort to make sure you get more offensive possessions. And I like seeing this Southern Virginia passing it backwards to try to get something set up, get themselves organized. That's something we didn't see a lot of in the first half. There was a lot of rushing, trying to force some plays that weren't there. So obviously head coach Camille Lamb doing a good job sitting them down, saying, hey, relax. We can pass around. Just be sure to be calm and collected, and that's what's going to help us possibly get back in this game.
And looks the Knights are already starting strong off. We're already on the Maroon side of the field. Looks like they're going for more of an offensive approach this time, as opposed to the previous two quarters, which have been very defensive focused.
Roanoke College doing a great job at getting in those passing lanes. Again, they've done a really great job at reading the eyes of Southern Virginia and make sure they know, like, okay, they're going to pass it here. Let's get into that lane.
Yeah, just being one step ahead of their opponents, trying to get the game in their favor.
This is Carly Hoffer, who is playing some good on-ball defense here, taking it away for Southern Virginia.
We've seen her a few times this game with the ball.
Roanoke College with it now, number 7, Martha Hurley.
Attempted interception by the Southern Virginia Knights.
But Sage Bullock able to fight back and able to get the ball up to number 17, Caitlin Thompson. Gets it back out to Josephine Van Leyen. Good pass attempt from number 7, Martha Hurley, but unfortunately for her, there was no one on the receiving end of it. She passed between a couple of defenders' legs. So it'll go back to Southern Virginia.
Looks like this one's going to get hit off by number 8, Torgerson. Seeing if we can maybe make more offensive approach, trying to get back on the Maroon side of the field. Intercepted by number 12 over the Maroons, Catherine Seal.
Handled now by Martha Hurley yet again. Now, Miriam, going out of halftime, you have experience with head coach Camille Lamb. How do you feel like she was during halftime? What do you think? What are the types of things you think she'd be saying to her players after the first half that they had?
I think really trying to sit them down, just take a deep breath, because this, like you said, this is just a really young program, and it's hard to watch the first couple defeats as you're just trying to get back in the groove. They have a lot of new players this year, a lot of freshmen, and trying to just sit down, to just let off some steam, and then start thinking again about the game and how they can improve, making sure that they're being there for each other, getting a defender on every single offensive player so that they can make those clean, quick passes so that they can get some more shots on goal this quarter.
And one thing I want to emphasize what you said is just make sure they take a deep breath and be calm, because it could be very easy for a coach, again, when you have situations like this where you're down 4-0, it could be very easy to let that emotion get to you and make it to where, you know, you kind of vent out some things you don't want to, but of course Camille Lamb able to sit down, calmly express what they need to do to be better.
Mm-hmm. Especially because none of these Knights can afford to just shut down, because they have such a smaller team. They don't have as many substitutes as the Maroons do. So it's trying to keep that spirit up in every single player of the Knights team.
That is taken away by number 3, Caitlin Beasley. And right back to Roanoke College, to Josephine Van Leyen. Doing a great job of sitting back, letting people run past her. Pass back to Brianna Richardson. And that's going to go through the legs of number 7, Martha Hurley, and go back to Southern Virginia.
Push off by number 8, Torgerson of the Knights. And I feel like in field hockey, more often than other sports, there are more penalties called because the ball cannot touch any part of the body. It can only touch that one side of the stick that they're using.
And again, you mentioned the small surface area of the stick that they can actually use. It touching someone's body is going to be an inevitability. It's like you said, it stops the clock quite a bit.
Yeah, and if it pops up and hits somebody, which it can do, and has already happened once this game, going straight into another player.
I believe you're referring to earlier in the game when Elizabeth Sordo was basically pegged with the ball earlier on while playing defense. Saw attack here from Roanoke College. It goes off the side. That was attempted by number 23. That, of course, being Josephine Van Leyen. Good on-ball defense there from number 4, Carly Hoffer.
And now we've got a corner on the Knights' goal. Got most of the Knights team heading off that 50-yard line.
The Knights so far doing a good job at avoiding those corners because, again, in that second quarter, that was the majority of the quarter was in a corner start, basically. And so, again, I'm sure there's another thing to emphasize that we cannot be committing as many penalties. We got to make sure we stay out of those because, again, that puts us at a severe disadvantage.
Trying to keep that play nice and not getting sloppy, even if you're tired. Trying to make sure you keep your feet out of the way because sometimes those balls just go straight for the feet, and then that's a penalty on your end. Great save on goal by Kira White. And that corner is clear. The masks go flying.
Again, a lot of credit to Kira White so far. She's had to make a lot of saves in tonight's game and has kept it to only a 4-0 deficit where, with the amount of attacks they've been able to have on goal, I mean, it could easily be a double-digit game at this point if it weren't for her efforts.
And one of the coolest things is that she is listed, at least on this roster, not as the official goalkeeper. So she's really pulling in a lot of other talents and skills that she's gained being on the team of the Knights to be able to pull in those talents to make all those saves.
She's another one of those players that up until coming to Southern Virginia had never played field hockey before, coming from Powhatan, Virginia. And again, the fact that she's been able to step into that role and be able to protect the net like she has, again, with that context, makes it more impressive.
And she is currently one of the captains of the field hockey team.
Ball go back to Roanoke College, handled by number 29, Mary Wisher.
Passed on to number 20, Brianna Richardson.
Well done on the part of number 21 for Southern Virginia, Rochelle Chu Kung, the sophomore from South Jordan, Utah. Want to correct that, Chuk 1. Want to make sure we get those pronunciations correct for the folks watching back home. Martha Hurley, well defended there for a moment by number 4, Carly Hoffer. Another great defensive effort here from the Knights.
Setting up for our second quarter of this second corner of this quarter on the Knights goal.
And you see a couple of Knights players kind of put their hands on their head in frustration over that. Again, it's been a very common occurrence in this game so far to be in that corner start and to be at that player disadvantage. Again, after a while, it's got to build up frustration with your team.
Yeah, and one thing is that the Maroons are so good at their passes. They keep passing them kind of between the legs of the defensive players. And if it hits the foot of the defensive player, it's that defensive player's fault. So trying to see where those passes are going and who they're passing.
Obviously, a very strategic move there.
Entering another corner.
That's kind of fascinating. You don't see something like that in very many other sports, like, for instance, in football. You don't see people grabbing someone's arm and having them grab their jersey and hold them, right? That's basically the same equivalent here. But in this sport, that's definitely a strategy you can utilize.
For sure.
That shot's going to go past the net here.
Good attempt, shot on goal by number 7 of the Maroons, Martha Hurley.
Again, we mentioned Martha Hurley's name a lot of times so far tonight. Great effort offensively, gotten a lot of shots on goal, facilitated their offense. And taken away by number 23, Josephine Van Leyen. A freshman stepping up big so far tonight. We said her name several times in the second half.
Possession award to the Knights.
That was a great stop with the stick there by number 5, Ellie Marble. I mean, that pass was going quick, and she was able to stick her stick out, able to stop it in its tracks.
And getting it right off to where it needed to go. Already about 10 minutes into this quarter and still no goal for either team.
And that, of course, has made this quarter pass by so much faster than the previous 2 quarters where Roanoke College is able to get several goals to fall in for them.
But it looks like throughout the game, the Southern Virginia University defense have been working harder to make sure that the goals don't get near their goal and trying to keep them out of the goal. Just keeping up that fire of keeping the other team on their toes.
And again, we've mentioned before how impressive that is, that as the game goes on, your defense sort of gets stronger and stronger. That's definitely the opposite of the normal trend in any other sport, including field hockey. Again, with that fatigue setting in, again, we mentioned the limited roster and the limited substitutions that they can have. And so, again, the fact they've been able to continue to build up that defensive effort is impressive, to say the least.
So we had a little bit of miscommunication there between the Maroons, and ball was stolen by number 5, Ellie Marble of the Knights.
A rare mistake for Roanoke's offense tonight. Again, so far, like you mentioned before, their passing game has been very much on point. Stop by number 4, Carly Hoffer. Amazing reflexes there.
Ball in possession of the Knights, taken out by number 4, Hoffer.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, she stuck her stick up right there, blocked it. I mean,
that just stopped it midair. It wasn't even on the ground.
You know, with those kind of blocking abilities, might as well join a fencing team somewhere. I mean, my goodness, impressive stuff there from Hoffer.
Ball currently coming out the field in possession of the Maroons.
And that goes back to Southern Virginia, back to
Hoffer.
Hoffer. I'm still having a hard time getting over that block. I mean, I know for a fact that if it was me out there and a ball was flying on my face at the speed that was, I don't know if I'd have the quick reflexes to put the stick up and block it like that and then get right back into play.
I don't know. I feel like I would have 2 options. It'd be like, okay, duck or jump. That would be it. It's like I would forget about the stick.
Very true. So, again, very good keeping her head there and keeping herself in the game, and Roanoke College coming away with it. You're starting to see Roanoke College get a little bit more sloppy in their play here in this third quarter.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the Knights get closer to the Maroon players and really getting in there and jabbing their sticks and pulling and stealing. Getting a lot more into the game.
And we talk about the disadvantage of a limited roster. You know, in some ways it could actually almost be an advantage in some cases. I've known a lot of different team programs that have had a limited roster where a big emphasis is placed on conditioning so that you can play for longer than teams that have a big, deep roster. And because, again, if someone gets tired, they can just substitute them in. They don't have to worry about it as much. But with limited talent, you have to be well conditioned. You have to be able to play for extended periods of time. And so, again, that's definitely paying big dividends for Southern Virginia.
I know if you really had a big roster, you wouldn't really think about getting those substitutes. Like, you wouldn't think too much about it because field hockey actually has unlimited substitutes. So if anybody gets tired at any point, they can just say, oh, well, I'm out, and bring a new person in, and endurance isn't that highlighted in this game.
That's a very, very good point as Roanoke College on the attack here. That was handled by Van Leyen. And again, since the beginning of the second quarter, we've seen Southern Virginia do a very good job of providing more of a back and forth. The first quarter, again, Roanoke College seemed to have it on Southern Virginia's side basically the entire time. But Southern Virginia able to, again, to push the agenda, push it forward onto the other side.
Trying to get into those passes and stealing it and passing on to their own teammates to take possession of that ball.
And just over 2 minutes left in this third quarter. So far, Roanoke College has not had a goal in this quarter. Hopefully the commentator jinx does not kick in at this moment. Hopefully Southern Virginia can hold true.
Intercepted by number 12.
Stopped with the glove by Kira White. Fantastic effort there.
And this corner is over. Masks go flying with just over 1 minute, 1.5 minutes left in this quarter.
We just got word from our producers that one might even compare that save to Scott Sterling levels. If you know the reference, you know the reference. So fantastic effort here from Southern Virginia's defense. Handled now by number 4, Carly Hoffer. A little too far of a pass there, but then was taken by number 8, Ashley Torgeson. As now we're just under a minute left in this third quarter. I want to remind you, you're watching this on the Knights Broadcasting YouTube channel, so if you want to keep up with Southern Virginia athletics, if you have maybe a brother, a sister, a son, or a daughter who is involved in Southern Virginia sports, be sure to leave a like, comment, let us know how we're doing. Be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell. That way you get notified every single time we go live with a game of any kind here at Southern Virginia University.
And always feel free to light up that live chat.
We appreciate the feedback. Let us know we're doing well. Well, maybe we're not doing so well, with things we're improving on every single day, because, again, it's a program being worked on by a lot of great people, a lot of good effort being put into it to improve it every single day, and we appreciate all of those people. Looks like they will let the quarter come to a close. So at the end of 3 quarters, the score still stands 4-0. A fantastic defensive effort on Southern Virginia's end. Again, giving up 4 goals or 3 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, and none in the third. That's a trend that I like to see.
Yeah, this definitely felt like a more fair game. We've got some more defense on the Maroon side of the team and more offense on Southern Virginia University. So it looks like we're getting more 50-50 from both teams, and that's making this very exciting.
And so going into the fourth quarter, again, you have a great quarter of not giving up a single point. You're doing a great job of getting back and forth. What do you think Southern Virginia can do in this quarter to, again, it's not a unmanageable lead. It's only 4 points. I mean, given any sport, 4 points isn't that much. What can Southern Virginia do to give themselves a chance in this fourth quarter?
I think a great thing Southern Virginia could do is get closer to the goal of the other team, of the Maroons, because if they can get those more shots on goal. We've only seen 1 so far for the Knights. They could get that, they could get more goals, especially because the 2 averages of goals versus shots on goals are so similar for the 2 teams. If they could get some more shots on goal and get it past the goalie, then we could see this maybe turn out as a tie or a win on the Knights side. But it will all be on these last 15 minutes of game for the Knights and the Maroons.
And I think at the end of the day, it'll come down to which team has the greater endurance, right? We've talked about the issues with having a smaller roster, and also the fact that with that you have to have more cardio and more endurance with that, because again, you have to play the entire game. And so maybe we'll see Roanoke College start to slow down a little bit. We saw a little bit more sloppy play on their end offensively, not as good of passes, things were not as clean. And so I imagine if you're head coach of Roanoke College right now, you're telling your players, look, we have a good lead, but let's not get sloppy. Let's try to hold on to the ball. And I'd imagine in this fourth quarter, they probably won't try to take as many shots, but just simply try to maintain possession as long as possible. Kind of run out the clock type of situation. Get out of here faster, because compared to the first 2 quarters, that third quarter flew by because there's no points scored. So I'd imagine they're saying, hey, let's just slow the game down, maybe just maintain possession, and get out of here with the victory.
and keep up the good communication they had in those first 2 quarters. It kind of went down during that 3rd quarter with a lot of more missed passes than we've seen from Roanoke.
It's now will begin the 4th quarter. Again, the score remains 4-0 in favor of the Maroons of Roanoke College. Coming from just down the road. And the Maroons will indeed start with the ball.
We're starting this quarter off fast, currently in the possession of the Maroons. And that is number 7, Martha Hurley.
We're seeing a player for Southern Virginia come out. That is number 3, that being Caitlin Beasley.
Great high lift by Martha Hurley. Intercepted by the Knights. Number 4.
Carly Hoffer, it at it again. And she intercepts it once more. Again, Carly Hoffer's had a very fascinating second half, and she gets knocked to the ground there as she still lays on the ground. Just simply had some hard contact. Hopefully she's okay. She's getting up now. That's one thing a lot of people don't necessarily give a lot of credit to field hockey, as they should, is that it can be a very aggressive sport. There's a lot of contact that can be had. I mean, again, you're swinging a stick at a ball all day long. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen here on the field. We're just glad that Hoffer got up all right.
Possession award to the Knights going to number 4, Hoffer.
Again, a great opportunity here. If they can bring it within 3 after being down by 4 for 3 quarters, I mean, you could expect to see a lot of life inserted the Southern Virginia team, as Roanoke College has it now. Kicks it out, and it's actually being chased down by number 17, Karina Olson. A little miscommunication on the pass there. Olson was trying to get it out to number 21, Rochelle Chukwang.
Now, one thing we can see the Maroons doing here that we've kind of been hoping to see more on the Knights side is getting them all set up. We've taken it from one end of the field, the closer end to us, at the camera, out to the further side in just a few passes because all their teammates were already set up expecting those.
Again, it's the idea of just simply pulling back, evaluating the situation, and then getting the open passes. And one thing about getting into those open players in the backfield, right, on your side, is that it gets you more in a rhythm. When you get those simple, easy passes, it makes it where you have more confidence getting the next passes down further down the field, the more difficult ones, the ones between legs like we've been mentioning. Once again, intercepted by Hoffer. Again, some great on-ball defense from Southern Virginia in this second half. They've been very good at attacking defensively.
We've got our first corner of the quarter 4 on the night goal.
And that's one thing, again, that Southern Virginia did a lot better in that 3rd quarter. In the 2nd quarter, we saw a lot of these corner starts, right? I think we saw maybe 5 in a row at one point. In the 3rd quarter, we only had 1. And so Southern Virginia having 1, if they don't have another one for the rest of the quarter, that's a win right there. Because, again, it's showing that they're improving, making sure that they don't commit those fouls.
And even after all these corners, they've had so many, I think they've only gotten 1 goal in during a corner on the Knights.
And so if you're Southern Virginia, you're developing a lot of confidence, even though, again, you're disadvantaged in a literal standpoint. You have a confidence that you can hold up, as they do right there.
Corner ins and masks go flying. Ball starting off with number 8, Torgerson.
I might have to use that phrase from now on, masks go flying. In fact, I might try to use that for those sports as well. So just letting you know right now, I'm going to be stealing that. With that, Roanoke College now has it. This is number 29, sophomore Mary Wisher. And it goes back to Southern Virginia, again to the hands of number 8, Ashley Torgerson. Actually, excuse me, now it goes back down to Hoffer. It'll stay in possession of Southern Virginia as they make their way into the Maroons side of the field.
Quick pass to number 17, Corinna Olson.
This is number 7, Martha Hurley, handling it down the far sideline.
Attempted interception by number 8, Torgerson.
Good opportunity for a shot on goal here. Looks like
one thing that kind of worries me about having all the Knights when the Maroons come in so fast to the goal, all the Knights start to crowd in to join as defense, but then it becomes even more likely for them to get a corner because there are so many feet of the Knights going around, and it's hard to see where the ball's at, and then suddenly it hits your foot, and you're like, dang it, and then another corner on your end.
It's sort of a give and take type of situation there. Like either you have a lot of bodies that prevent a goal and then risk, like you said, having a corner start, or you have limited players there and have more of a chance of giving up a goal. It's kind of a lose-lose situation in that case. But of course, with Southern Virginia, we've mentioned their great ability to defend in that situation. I mean, you kind of pick your poison there.
And then moving that ball right out towards the Maroon side. As we enter into just 2 minutes left in this game.
And if you're head coach Camille Lamb, you're kind of thinking to yourself, obviously you're proud of the effort you've seen from your team in the past 2 quarters. You're kind of thinking to yourself, if we would have started off with this type of energy and this type of defensive-minded mentality, I mean, you would be in a much tighter situation. Again, maybe we would have maybe a 1-0 deficit or maybe tied game at 0-0. So I guess that kind of shows you need to start strong and then finish strong. Right now, Southern Virginia at this point is finishing strong defensively, of course, without the fact they haven't been able to get too many shots on goal. But again, limiting them to 1 goal in 3 quarters so far, you got to hang your hat on that.
Yeah.
So now to go back to Southern Virginia, it looks like. Torgerson handling it again.
And we heard about a few of the Knights' past statistics on their games, and it looked like it was either really close or really far apart, like their last game where they had a 0-9. It just looks like they're either very defensive, like we're seeing this last quarter, or they're more like their first 2 quarters of the game.
Exactly, and the thing with that is that you have to have some consistency there, right? You have to maintain a good defensive front every single game, day in, day out. And again, sometimes you come against a team that's just on fire. A lot of shots are rolling for them. Their offense is just clicking. And 90% of sports, every single sport, is the mental game. And it's no different for field hockey. So if you come in and your mental game's not quite there and the other team is just locked in and ready to go, you're going to have those very wide gaps in scores. But like you said, there have been other games, like, again, 1 game in overtime that Southern Virginia was lost only by 1 point. Then another game they lost 1-2, and then, like you said, the 6-2 gap against Transylvania University, and the 0-9 gap against Randolph-Macon College. Just that consistency, and again, it kind of goes back to the point of developing a good offensive strategy and be able to basically take advantage of your offensive opportunities. So it goes back to Roanoke College. And right back to Southern Virginia as they try to take it up the far side.
Intercepted by number 8, Torgerson, and shot off towards the other side of the field.
Fight for it from Roanoke College as number 22, Peyton Bradford, taking it away. Now, obviously, for Roanoke College, there's less of a sense of urgency. You have a 4-point lead. You'd have to have a lot of shots on goal in order to catch up with that lead. And so, again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the quarter, they're very content with the idea of just having possession, it going back and forth. Southern Virginia not necessarily getting any shots on goal, just make sure to wind down that clock and make the game go by faster. As we're just now under 7 minutes left to play in this one.
Ball starting off with number 4, Hoffer.
Good pop there up the near side of the field. Able to get underneath that one and shoot that one. It'll go back to Southern Virginia. Hoffer with it on this near side. Taken away again by Hoffer. We've seen a lot of great action from her in this second half. And taken away before an opportunity on shot on goal. Another opportunity that has set something up offensively goes to waste for Southern Virginia.
Brought down the field by number 23, Josephine Van Leyen.
Leon tries to pass it up ahead. I believe she's intending it to number 4, Krista DeMonda.
Forgive me, that's Leyen. Josephine Van Leyen was bringing it down the field.
Ball goes back to Southern Virginia. Again, we're seeing a trend to where down on this side in, let's say, the second quarter, that almost always resulted in a corner start, but ever since then, they've done a great job at not committing those fouls and making sure they don't have those corner starts. It's been a lot easier going for them.
Yeah, it looks like it's a lot of just keeping it out of that 10-yard line, because if they can keep it beyond that, they're not even in that goalie area. So if it hits a foot, it's a penalty, but it's not a corner. So keeping it just far away enough from the goal to stay away from those disadvantageous corners.
Martha Hurley brings it across the field. Tries a shot on the inside and deflected by Southern Virginia. Kier White able to keep that one out, and a diving attempt from number 11, Tess Talumis.
Coming back on the field by number 8, Torgerson. Received by number 17, Karina Olsen. And coming right down the field.
Roanoke College now passing it back again, like you said, trying to just get everything set up, and also just sort of a keep away mentality, just keeping it away to make sure they wind down that clock, because that is the #1 priority. They're looking at that clock and saying, let's get that down as fast as possible, as we now have just over 4 minutes left to play in this game.
Well, you said that a couple times. They'll bring it out to their side, and they'll bring it around and all the way over to the other end of the field to try to get to surprise the Knights and get in their defense everywhere.
This is Hurley bringing it down the far side. Getting past several defenders. And they're defending, I believe that's number 17, that being Karina Olsen. And it goes back to Southern Virginia yet again. You see number 7, Martha Hurley for Roanoke College, getting a little frustrated at that call. Obviously, she's not happy about something that went down there. Looks like Torgerson has it once again, tries to get all the way down the field. I'm not quite sure who she's trying to get it to. I think she's just simply trying to advance it and have somebody chase it down.
I think a few times these passes that just go down the field where there isn't anybody, just trying to get it away from their goal.
Just trying to clear the field, right, yeah.
Trying to move up, stay away from those corners.
Honestly, a lot of those passes, whether it be in soccer or field hockey or lacrosse, those are just simply like clear the area, just a nice reset defensively. Like, look, we don't like the situation. Let's get it out of here. Let's re-strategize. Let's regroup. As that one goes out of bounds, it'll go back to Southern Virginia, handled by Hoffer. At this point, again, down 4 goals, just 2.5 minutes left to play. Very unlikely that they can get anything, but now you have a sense of urgency in Southern Virginia. You want to get at least a couple of shots on goal, even if it's not necessarily going to amount to a victory here unless something crazy happens. You just want to end on the fact that you got shots, right? Because that's the thing that's really hurt them so far, is just those limited amount of shots on goal. Just showing yourself that you can do it. I mean, you know you can play defense. You've proven it the past 3 quarters. Now you got to prove to yourself that offensively you can get something going.
Starting down near the Knights' goal in possession of the Maroons.
Handled now by number 28, Victoria Warweg. Tries a left-handed shot.
And down here by the goal, we've got a lot of Knights and a lot of Maroons.
Resetting now is number 4, Krista DeMontna. doing a good job of clearing it out was number 5, Ellie Marble. Make sure to get it and drive it down the field. With just a minute and a half left to play in this one.
Turned around by number 22, Peyton Bradford.
Looks like another stop for Southern Virginia defensively. Actually, excuse me, yes, it was a goal, in fact, for Roanoke College, excuse me, is the opposite of what I just said. So Southern Virginia gives up one more goal. That's only the second goal in this half compared to the 3 that were given up in the first quarter.
I believe we had 4 in the first half. This is our first one in the second half.
You're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. Southern Virginia holding very well in the second half up until that moment. I mean, again, you're playing defense for so long and so many shots taken on Kira White, excuse me. Something was going to give for Roanoke College. But now with just over a minute left to play. Again, we got to commend the defense for Southern Virginia. They were attacked all night long. Kira White was attacked all night long. And like you said, only giving up 1 point in that second half. Truly something to pat yourselves on the back about. See another attack here from Roanoke College. Back to possession of Southern Virginia. They want to get a little something going just before the end of this game as it goes right back to the Maroons.
Hit off by number 21, Claire McCurley. And back in possession of the Knights.
At this point, you have 23 seconds left. Roanoke College is just looking to wind down the clock and just pass it around, or at least just play enough defense to just keep it out of reach. Handled now by number 17, Karina Olson. Just 10 seconds left. They got to attempt something as that long shot is easily deflected.
A lot of pressure with these last 3 seconds.
And this game will end harmlessly for Roanoke College, and the Maroons will come away with this one with a victory of 5-0 as Southern Virginia loses another game on the schedule. But although I say there's never moral victories in sports, you got to be proud of how your defense played in this one. Compared to last year's matchup between these two teams where Southern Virginia lost 10-1, where you gave up significantly more points, this game you only lose 5-0. I mean, you got to accept improvement where it comes, right? Especially with a young program and you're trying to build it up. If you see progress like this, you got to be happy to some extent.
And we've got 18 saves on goal. 18 saves by Kira White and all her teammates on defense.
So again, just a great, fantastic defensive effort from Southern Virginia. Unfortunately, Roanoke College's offense was just too relentless and able to take the game here 5-0. We appreciate you all for tuning in to tonight's broadcasting tonight for tonight's matchup. Once again, if you're interested in keeping up with Southern Virginia athletics of any kind, and you have people you care about just participating in these events, be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell that we don't miss on any single sporting event here on this channel. I'm Dawson Weidrich, joined by Miriam Bonney. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless, and go Knights.